So we say, of course, there is a paradox of the digital age, right? Technology is literally reshaping the world, right? Everything we are doing is quite different. But even with this reshaping, we see that the human element is becoming increasingly important, correct? So at one side we are saying technology, other side we are saying human element, we are saying a lot of work can be done by tech. At the same time, we are saying there are a lot of things which can't be done without the human. So let's look at that paradox. What we are trying to do is probably hear out or highlight the critical roles of human talent alongside the technology, right? That's what we are trying to look at. A couple of questions around, and of course, some of these questions are directly related to the line of business you work with and how do you look at it, right? Very first question, we know that the technology advancement is happening at a very rapid pace, right? There is AI, there is automation. Automation has been there for quite some time, starting from the RPA age as such, right? What human skills do you think is very critical to the success of the job roles in your industry or in your segment as such, right? Probably Dakshet, while you are in L&D, this is very much applicable from a L&D perspective also. Your business is something wherein people are talking AI everywhere, right? I'm sure there are certain roles which are specific to your function, which you think can be done by humans, right? What's your say on that?
Well, from an L&D standpoint, when I look at it, I think two ways to look at it. The way we succeed in our business, it's about always innovating and providing relevant solutions to our customers, right? But when you look at our customers, the way they want to build up their skill sets and their pipeline, I think it's changing every day. So we need to be a lifelong learner that we talk about. And a key to success of an individual today is going to be, your ability to think analytically, right? Well, we saw today morning, just a prompt can give you 20 use cases, right? Auto-generated, so we don't have to think on that. But what is more important is to critically identify which one of these, make more sense to us. And that is the human element, I would say, is more critical for success of, the individuals in our corporate today.
In fact, Dakshet, your function is more paradoxical because you're using AI to train humans, right? To perform technological jobs, right? So that's more paradoxical, especially in your environment, right? Piyush, you kind of handle multiple roles, right? I mean, while there is a practice itself, you also look into the competencies. How do you balance that? And what is that one human skill, right, which really stands out?
All right. So since I come from cybersecurity background, the most important skill to counter a cyber attack or to read into the minds of the threat actors is actually the creative thinking and problem solving. So these are the top two elements which we ensure that our people develop. So they are always a step ahead against the threats that threat actors are developing, against the state-sponsored cyber attacks, to which I call a terrorism attack. But these are the two most important skills, that creative thinking and problem solving is something which all the cybersecurity professionals need to develop.
Interestingly, again, on a paradoxical manner, that critical thinking and problem solving skill, these are not inborn qualities. These are transferable skills, right?
Sure.
When you try to do it in a closed room environment, you definitely don't get scale.
Right.
And we know in the past we have had great mentors who could build these kind of skills. But today, with the cybersecurity attacks increasing, you need more number of people qualified with this, skill or having the talent to fight against it. Now, how do you use technology to build that skills?
So that is where the next gen technologies like AI, ML, and Gen AI come into play, because an individual is the sum total of the experiences
Correct.
and the kind of scenarios that he has witnessed. Whereas when you combine the collective information and the knowledge of the people and the workforce who are working in this particular sector, you have huge set of data. And how do you simulate and use and reuse that data and provide a knowledge base and access to all the professionals? That is when these technologies come into play. So, for example, if I as an individual X have worked in cybersecurity for last 5 years, and let's assume I'm a SOC analyst, I'm working in Security Operations Center, I might have seen 50 or 100 scenarios, right?
Okay.
But if I collectively somehow manage to gather the information that 50 other SOC analysts have, probably we are looking at 2,500 kind of different scenarios, which is very useful while training the cyber talent, which is useful while creating and predicting the kind of attacks that might happen. So that is where the technologies like AI, ML,
Interesting.
robotics, AR and VR come into play.
So what you're saying is that here is this world knowledge, our own knowledge and world knowledge, and the concept of competencies are merely tied down to the collective experience they have, right? And we could use AI or AI-based engine to kind of personalize that and accelerate it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Wow. Nice. Shiva, what's your thought? I mean, your industry or probably your function is very wide. It has cyber also, it has data also. From a cloud and infrastructure perspective, you kind of cut across all of it, right?
Yeah, first of all, thank you NIIT and RPS. I think they took a lot of effort to get me here. Thank you for that.
In fact, thank you for
Because
coming.
there is no direct flight from Chennai. So that's one of the reasons actually. So I think the question is how AI and automation is actually going to change the world of competency, right? Because
both, in fact, one human skill, which you think is not replicable, right? On the floor, when you're trying to solve the problem, you need this human skill. And then we will look at the paradoxical side as to how are we accelerating our people to acquire those skills.
No, being a services owner, actually, the very important skill, actually, he has already alluded it, problem solving. And the second is the presence of mind, right? Typically, when you solve a problem, the symptoms, by looking at the symptom of a particular issue, whether it is a network issue or whether it is a cloud VM is not getting hosted, so or is it a IDAM issue from a cybersecurity point of view. So the presence of mind makes a lot of difference. And because whatever you might have AI, you might have automation, because I've been doing automation work since 2005. So even though the automation has come into the industry since 2005, actually the human loop in every action is very important. So skill number one is problem solving, then the attitude to learn, and second is accepting the change that yes, there are certain scripts is going to actually make me redundant, right? So running a batch file in olden days, we used to actually do a lot of batch file writing and other things. Nowadays, it's totally automated, right? So these are the few skills we need to have in human, definitely, whether it is after 50 years or 100 years. So this is going to continue.
And how do you think? So we all know, even at your organization, there is a scale at which you have to have people ready to service your customers, right? Yeah. And to get that scale and have everybody have this mindset of problem solving, right? How would you ask your learning and development team to solve it?
It's a very difficult question. So a lot of batches for us. So always there is a spot. We find the spot that is basically out of, in a batch of 180 people or 200 people who are going through the training. We normally spot around 20 to 30% of the people have the aspiration and the hunger to learn more. So that you actually find out from the assessment itself.
Sure.
And post the assessment, those are the kids or the students or the engineers who will actually follow up to make sure that, hey, I didn't score in these areas well. So is there a way I can further upgrade my skill? So those are the people we actually track very closely in the system. Actually, we have developed a very strong system. Once the erstwhile LTI and erstwhile Mindtree came together, because the digitally born company and the engineering company came together. So, and we had a very strong process has been put in place to track those candidates as well as the engineers. So that is actually helping us in making sure we are able to create a very strong cloud ops team now.
Fantastic. And would you also then look at the Gen AI kind of a tool to then create so many different kind of assessment such that you get this data early in the training session?
In fact, you are doing Cyber Ninja, right, in the morning.
I can do a Cloud Ninja also.
No, we are also trying a lot. And in fact, there are a lot of investments has gone into the knowledge article, especially in the knowledge article and the SOPs. And also from how to solve a problem, right? And I'm sure all of you are using ServiceNow and different set of ITSM tools. So those tools actually, now we are actually working very closely with them to how to leverage Gen AI on that particular platform.
On that platform.
Yeah.
Interesting. And Binu, your field is very, 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 very specific, right? Forensics is not an easy job. How do you, if I have to call out again the same question for you, that one human skill which you think is very, very, very important for your function as such from a forensic perspective? Defense and response I would not go to, right? What would you say?
So if I have to call out only one, most of the skills that's required, everybody spoke about.
Correct.
So for forensic, it's inquisitive mindset. Always, curious what happened. So that would be the one.
That would be the one. Interesting. And if you have to again roll down into a classroom setup wherein we are trying to build this muscle memory of being inquisitive, right? How would you want the learning team to build this?
So something you can build overnight, right?
Correct.
It takes time.
Correct.
You have to again and again, tell them that, you need to think like this and, those kind of things. But the other aspect, what is that most of these functions are not individual contribution functions.
Correct.
They work as a team.
Correct.
So one of the major aspects to a successful team is the teaming, right? They should be able to work as a team to solve the problems. So maybe, I might be, very skilled, but every problem I might not be able to solve it.
Absolutely.
So until unless I am acceptable to, ask questions or help from others, I may not be able to solve it. So teaming is also very important. So, so when you said, what needs to be trained, inquisitive mindset, yes, it's not easy to build overnight. It takes time. But other thing is working as a team. Most of the technical people, right, very skilled technical resources, have a habit to work alone.
Alone. Yeah. Okay.
And it's difficult to build a team with these skilled people. But we have to, if you want to succeed.
Interesting. And I'll start with you only, Binu. And with you is forensic is a field wherein creativity also plays a big role, right? So my question is, can you cite a specific instance where creativity outperformed, technological solutions?
There are a couple of instances where one was we had a we discovered some APT in our environment, or, which was not detected by any security tools. Nothing flagged it. And the only reason we detected was, we were looking at something else, and somebody got curious. Why
did
this
it
happen?
flag? Yeah. Why did it happen?
And so, others told them, don't waste time, do the work what you want to do. But this guy kept on going back to see why.
Curiosity.
It hit there. And slowly he was able to discover what went wrong, where, and he was able to dig out the whole thing when it happened and why it happened.
Interesting.
So, these are things which technology doesn't help, because nothing, detected it.
There's no signature. There's no signature.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So, but again, a curious human mind is very efficient, right? These finding in these kind of things.
Absolutely. That's interesting. So we probably will have to also look at how do we build curious minds, right? While technical skill sets and competencies are for performing an activity, this critical thinking, curious mind, these are other aspects which we must bake in our training or learning and development practices.
So to add to what Binu just said, forensics is a field where you're actually performing a postmortem.
Correct.
Technology can help you simulate the situation in which the murder must have been done.
Correct.
But you need a curious mind to think what was the object used, what was the murder weapon used, what was the
5W1H
situation.
model, 5W1H model,
So you always need a human element. And with the help of the technology, you might be able to deduce it better, but technology alone can't solve the problem.
Interesting. Shiva.
I have a very different example for you. Okay. I landed in Japan in 2010. Okay. And I don't know how many of you have got experience in working with Japanese customers. So it was excellent learning in that particular part of the world where, actually the creativity makes you to win deals, actually. So without creativity, you can't win deals till you become proficient in the Japanese language. So it is my own team instance, actually. So we were trying to roll out a desktop as a service for one of probably the top 3 conglomerate of Japanese. So they were so worried that, how this, because around 11,000 employees are spread across Japan, across almost every nook and corner. We were all breaking our head and we were thinking, and you will not believe, a fresher from college from the Japan University, he came and said that the best way to solve this problem is, can we create an animated video to explain them how to, really use a refresher desktop as a service? So then we worked with one of the OEM locally in Japan, and then we created and we took a printout of the same. We call it as manga in Japanese. That is cartoon. And it was easy for them to learn. And it was a booklet we created, and we gave it along with every laptop which was couriered from the central hub of Tokyo. So, and it was very seamless. And in fact, I never knew that, yes, we normally do a PPT, we normally do a video, but it was more of their local culture. We were able to use the creativity to solve a technological problem.
Interesting. Dakshet, you deal with this problem day in, day out, wherein business is asking you something. The input of people you have is completely different. What is that you are trying to build in them? I do hear these terms as continuous learning, self-learning, and so many aspects of it. But how would you like to define this?
So I think it has to be an innovative solution that we kind of produce for solving some of these, and it has to be something which is engaging for our customers, right? Or as an L&D professional, whatever we are offering to our customers, you could run a class of, whatever hours and great content. It may not stick with people if it's not engaging. So how do you make learning engaging is something, that our focus is always on. And while Binu and Shiva has quoted in terms of their book of work and some of the solutions being shared, I would quote something over here from an L&D standpoint, a solution that we offered, and I think we have spoken about it in terms of the tournaments that we run. So one of the things that we have in our organization is, of course, develop secure coding practices, right? We all understand the coders write great code, but their mindset is all about writing the program and not about writing the secure program in certain cases, right?
Correct.
So we wanted to do a shift left in terms of implementing security early in the life cycle of your software development, and which is where, first of all, you need to educate them in these dimensions. So there was a practice that we started. There was an initiative that we started, which was like a World Cup tournament that we offered to our employees. So we said all the secure coding champions invited. Now this is a global tournament that we run across. It was all about using a platform to showcase your secure coding skills. Now when you do that, we invited our 22 technology centers globally to participate. All the members who participate, top performers, were grouped into a team for that location. Now these location-specific teams go ahead and fight with each other, or rather challenge each other, move ahead in competition, and eventually there'll be one location which will come out as a secure coding champion. Now this was like a World Cup tournament where you have qualifiers followed by quarterfinals, semifinals, finals, and a global champion, which was really interesting because if you try and put this course as a mandatory course, of course, which we do. That was like the Gabbar and the, this gun in his hand. This is the course that you have to finish. But B, that was something that they could have finished without any interest in implementing those things. So here we are encouraging them to learn and get benefit out of it. Now with this, what happens is they don't only learn, but they get recognition. Now it's a competitive environment. So the tech center team which wins gets a lot of leadership recognition, gets a lot of visibility across. And that's a motivation which an employee would have. Sitting in an organization, a large size organization, well, you are in one corner and nobody notices you. But all of a sudden, you have been put into spotlight, limelight, and people are asking you, how did you do this? And that's the recognition we're talking about. So it's
reward mechanism.
It's the reward mechanism. It's the thing that we tried a bit differently, and it succeeded to a great level because now these people, get a lot of visibility, and then others look at them in terms of, learning from them, right? So that's a kind of solution.
Interesting. I think my last question, and I do want audience to also ask you a question, but before we do that, probably I'll go to Binu and Shiva. There's one particular problem statement which I'll bring from there. And both as learning and development professional, how would you look at it is something which I want to hear. And linking it back to Umesh, but you started with the Gabbar slide and I'm going to the Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge slide. We all know AI and automation is going to be there and it's increasingly being adopted for various reasons, right? Including the margin pressures. We can't avoid it. We have to adopt it, scale it, and do more with less. That's the mantra, right? So the point is either Raj climbs the train or let the Dulhania go, right? So there's no escape from that perspective. So the question is, how do you foresee the integration of human intuition? Because I think we all spoke about that human intuition, right? Human intuition and machine learning evolving in next 5 years. Probably I'll start with you, Binu. Or maybe 5 years is too long to say. We can say next 2 years.
So human intuition is something AI would have to catch up with. But I'm not saying they might not be able to do it at the speed which it is doing. So AI is good at certain things based on the data you have given.
Correct.
Right? But it cannot think about scenarios which it, has not seen.
I agree. How do you augment human intuition with that capability which is coming
that's
from
what I am.
outside?
So human, even though human intuition is there to investigate further, you need to dig into the data, and there are standard methods of doing it. So that probably AI can do much faster. Basically what it means is the human is going to guide where to and how to go about it, and that will bring in the speed and accuracy to the rest of the things. So what it means is, now if a certain investigation takes 3 people 5 days to find out, probably we can do it with 1 person in a couple of hours.
Fantastic. And if you have to ask your learning team to produce talent like this, right? What are those skills you would say that, hey, I want to see this demonstrable, skill in the person? Of course, intuition is one, but with that intuition not supported by this technology, that may not work, right? How do you balance that?
So the other aspect is something he said,
Dakshet said,
adapting to change. Right? This is a change.
Hmm.
It's a disruptor which we never experienced a couple of hours, 3 years before.
Yes.
Right? Now that's going, so that change is bound to happen. Either you can sit and say, no, I am not going to be part of it, or you accept it and start adapting. So adaptation of, accepting changes is one of the key factors that we have to build in the team. That change is inevitable.
Okay.
Right? So you have to, the earlier you adapt, the better equipped you become to handle that change.
Interesting. Shiva, your world is very different. I mean, I know earlier we spoke about building competencies from L0 to L1. Now I think GSIs are not talking L1. Everything is L1.5 onwards, right? And to get that kind of productivity, of course, you need tools. You need automation, right? How would you look at it?
No. First of all, I don't know. Binu and me are sitting next to each other. I always have a difference in answer. Okay. First of all, I think your question was human intuition, how it can actually be replicated in machine learning.
How do you integrate? There is an intuition element which is very different, can't be replicated very easily, and yet there is this system which is showing intuitive behavior. It is showing signs of intuition. It is not true intuition, right? But it kind of impersonates that. So how do you integrate
first of all,
these two things?
no human being is identical. Okay, so because each one of us are being denoted by a specific genetic or a DNA structure, actually. So fortunately, I think my daughter also is doing bioinformatics. So I'm also sitting with her to do some help.
Research work.
Yeah. So that is, I'm actually helping her to use AI there. So that is where we found a challenge that because for example, the way I think, the way she thinks is entirely different, right? So it is very difficult to script it from an AI point of view. That is one specific thing. And when you talked about moving away from L0 to L1.5, the only option is how much tools is going to be enabling that 1 year experienced guy to operate like a L1.5
flawlessly,
guy,
right, with the
without any
guardrail.
flawless. It is basically augmenting that particular engineer with a lot of help. For example, if you call for a specific problem and those symptoms are already recorded from a learning management point of view in the knowledge articles. So by looking at it, you should be able to, again, I think you all talked about prompt engineering, you all talked about, it's all very contextual according to me. And definitely, you cannot replicate human intuition.
Yes.
In machine learning.
Correct.
To an extent, you can actually do a more of a algorithm capturing. You can do it. That's what my view is, and it will continue like this. So we have to live
So
with
we
it.
are not going to move directly from 1.5 to now L2 directly, right? There will always be L1.5
No,
onwards.
but the industry has tried a lot, right? I think using tools, everybody wanted to actually avoid L1 team itself,
Correct.
like password reset.
Yeah.
This has been there for last 2000 since 1999. Password reset
Automated
tool,
password reset.
automated
yeah.
password
Yeah.
reset. But do you think that it has gone? No, still there is a human loop in it, right?
Yes.
So I think it will continue. And only thing is, as you rightly said, all of us are looking for better EBIT,
Yes.
better margin.
Yes.
So all these tools are going to help us in augmenting more and faster resolution and SLA based revenue.
Okay, my time is up, but I'm still gonna take 2 more minutes, Dilip. I hope you will allow me that. I'm not a king, but I hope I'll get the second buzzer. Piyush, your perspective, but from a learning sciences perspective, would you want the learners to first learn how to talk to a computer? When I say computer, an engine which mimics intuition, learn that first and then go into problem solvings and other languages and other tools. Do you think that should become a priority? Like today we say programmer means first start learning programming, right? Or at least learn operating system and scriptings. Do you think we should first teach prompt engineering?
No, I believe that it's important first to learn human to human interaction.
Okay.
Because human to machine interaction, ultimately, it will come into play automatically. So it's important to develop cognitive skills like empathy, emotional intelligence, creativity, and obviously machine to machine learning will come into play as you succeed further in your career, in your life, throughout your education and academic programs. But I think that human to human touch is very important. Human to human play is very important. If I have to give you an example, besides cardiovascular diseases and diabetes, which are lifestyle diseases, the third most common factor for deaths in United States was medical misdiagnosis, right? And that is when they realized that if we combine the technology along with the human intelligence,
and probably
we are
use
able
it
to
for decision making alone. Yeah.
And American Medical Journal has just published that they have been able to brought it down by 30%.
Interesting.
So human element, you can't never remove it, and it's important to have that human to human.
But you could make them superhuman by augmenting them with these tools.
Obviously, so that incremental and exponential improvements will keep on happening as the humans grow, as their cognitive skills grow. But obviously, technology alone won't be able to solve all the worldly problems.
Absolutely. Dakshet, the same question to you. Prompt engineering first?
I think I look at it a bit differently. And different in sense of what you said. Adopt this change and embrace them. Right? So I think first of all, humans need to accept it, employees need to accept it. There's a disruption and be comfortable with it. Because unless you be comfortable with it, the change is going to be harder. So be comfortable with the changes which are happening. Be open to learning and adopting these kind of changes, and maybe from a organization standpoint, create an ecosystem which is very safe for them to feel comfortable in this environment and say, "Hey, we know it's trouble, but
So you're
we are with
saying
you."
it doesn't matter what you're learning. Create an environment wherein
Where
they
people
find
feel
it
safe,
easy
right?
to feel. Interesting.
That's what I look at.
Interesting. Questions from anybody? Yeah, perfect.
Hello, I'm Srikanth, and my just a comment over here. We were discussing about intuition, and I saw a live demo over here. The moment the bell rang, the gentleman went and immediately brought the mementos to be present. So somewhere it is inbuilt within us, and with animals as well. They get to know, and they will be able to. And I think all learning and development is from nature.
Correct.
And from US war, these things as well. I think these use cases, if we are able to bring in and share with the machines as well and get them trained on, and I'm sure there will be a time over a period of time when these machines would learn and they would also replicate as well. Because the immediate thing which I'm reminded of is a dog as well. They have built that kind of a dog, and the other dogs were coming and watching, and what is this new thing, and they were interacting in the same way because that is their intuition. So that's the comment I would like to leave.
Interesting. Anybody would want to answer what he's saying? I mean, I can also say I work on the algorithm world. I think it's just like a cryptographic algorithm. Today, there is a limitation because of the technology which is available to us. Tomorrow, will it change?
Yeah.
There is a chance. There's a high chance it will change, right? But by that time, I think from an intuition perspective, we would have also gone a notch up, right?
Yeah.
Binu, anyone
And
of
I
you?
would like to add one more thing.
Yes.
The moment you extended the discussion, you went back and put the mementos there.
I would just say that the future of technology is human,
Yeah.
and therefore the talent before technology.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Piyush. Perfect. So I think we are also holding you for next session. Probably will. Gunshot. So I'm sure all four of them are available, across the remaining period and in the dinner session also. Any specific questions, feel free to ask. I'm sure they would be happy to answer most of your questions, right? Thank you so much, gentlemen. Really appreciate your time here.
Thank you, Shivajee and the panelists. Shivajee, may I request you to please present a token of our gratitude to them, and may I request the audience to please keep clapping. They say it's very healthy for our body and makes your skin glow instantly. And everybody who's young and feels young claps always when requested. Now everybody's...